So my pie.
Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. How to run the numbers on a rental. Let's talk about the numbers that matter and then some numbers that matter that I don't often hear talked about to make sure I don't mess up, because I didn't start investing in real estate until after the 2008 housing crash, which means I've been investing in an uptrending market, which makes me look like a genius even if I was making mistakes. To protect myself, what I've done is educated myself by investors who invested for a decade before me, lived through the 2008 housing crash, learned some hard lessons, and then built their portfolios around sustainability and made it to where I can actually retire early at 52, as I'm pretty certain we're going into a recession with confidence that I won't care. So what I have today is my two friends, Matt the Lumberjack Landlord and Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time. How to run the numbers on a rental. This time, Matt, let's start with you. What do you look at? And because where this comes from is the other day I was watching a video that was auspiciously called, it's probably the wrong word, The Three Amigos. And it had Ken McElroy and a couple of other guys that I don't really watch, but I probably have seen them somewhere. I watched Ken. I think his show with his spouse is really good because she's starting out, only has 3 or 4 rentals, and he's, decades of experience. So it's a good content for me to watch. But at the beginning of the video, someone was talking about the cash flow from a rental and saying it's really not that much unless you count the cash flow from the principal pay down. And my brain broke.
I saw that. I was running and I almost threw my phone. I did. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Luckily, later in the video, Ken kind of sits back and goes, politely, he didn't go, you guys are doing it wrong. He just said, actually, that can kind of go away like it did in 2008. And so we don't really use that. And it was great to see him correct it towards the end of the video. But I thought, we haven't done this in a while. So, Matt, how to run the numbers on a rental.
Yeah, so I think one of the unique things that I do is value add. I do a lot of value add stuff. And so for me, the thing that I think I can help people the most out with is I do it backwards, admittedly. I start with what I think I can rent it for, and then I work my way backwards to where that ends me up at the price. And that's a combination of things. And so, Dion, you're actually lucky because I was going to do a video like this on my channel, but I'm going to share my board with you if you can see this.
Oh, look at this.
So I bought one for $402. I budgeted $196,000 for the reno, and that meant that I was going to be total into the deal for $598. So because I actually started off with, if I did brand new units.
What is the E on the end of PITI?
Expenses.
Oh, got it.
I call it pie-tie.
Pie-tie. I like
it's the pie-tie.
So that is utilities and all of that.
Exactly.
Reserves?
Yep. So reserves are not in there, but so reserves are in expenses.
Right. In the
yes. So reserves are in expenses. Yes.
I got it.
Because that's an expense that may or may not be used.
Yeah,
but to your point, but you have to account for it on the balance sheet. 100%. Okay. Accounting Mike showing up. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Sorry. I like.
No, you're dead on, because people would miss that, because I just lump it into expenses because that's a category that I have to pay. But again, I worked the numbers backwards. I looked at it and said, I can get $7,200 for these units if I completely redo them, because I run my rent box. My rent box is about one thing and one thing only. What does a unit of that class, location, and quality cost? What can I get for a unit of that cost? And then I work it backwards. So I knew that for these 4 units, I could get $7,200 a month for those 4 units. I worked it backwards and I said, if I can get $7,200, that means if I want to get my 20+%, I got to make sure that I'm not going to be over $6,000 a month when I'm all said and done. But this house was completely trashed. So bought for
a house at $400,000.
Dude, I bought this 4-plex that needed gutting for $400,000.
It's a 4-plex, not a house.
Not a house. Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Sorry.
4-plex. Nope.
That makes more
clarification. Sense. It's 402. Put in 196. I'm in for 598 total. It looks like I know how to buy. ARV 760 is what it came in at on the appraisal. So my pie-tie, $3,487 is what my monthly principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and expenses are going to cost me. And expenses are all utilities, water, sewer, as well as putting some money away for maintenance. However, that maintenance number largely isn't going to be affected because I'm spending $200,000.
Yeah, that's what I call make ready. But yeah, I like
exactly.
It.
Yep. So my
but
ARR.
You still have utilities. Do you have, because it's a fourplex, you probably have lawn or yard maintenance or whatever.
So yes, but that's in this number, but that's very inexpensive. But yes.
I'm just telling people that's in the E.
Exactly. Yep. So I have snow plowing. Like this is what we do in Siberia.
Yeah.
We also can rent snowshoes if we need to go over the frozen tundra to make it to the grocery store. We can get those too. That's in the E number.
Yeah.
So my pie tie is 3487. My ARR, which is average rental rate, $7,200. And then that means I'm a net of 3813 a month. And that's month one, which is going to take us about 4 months to get there.
Are you done? I don't want to.
I'm done. Yeah, go.
Yeah. So you were very, very close, except I go one step further. So I do the same exact thing, except what I don't see here is you bought it for 402. Did you have to put anything down?
Yes, I did. Yep. So my down payment was 25%. So it's 102.
All right. So for me, what I calculate is $102,000 plus 196.
Yep.
All right. I'm just doing the math. So that's 298.
The bank. I got the money from the bank for this.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're telling me a different story. So okay.
Yeah. Well, so this isn't my money. This is the bank's money.
So the only money you put out to buy was 102.
Correct.
Okay. So 102 grand. So that's called the down payment here. You probably had some closing costs and other nonsense.
Like
Let's call
grand.
it.
Yep.
Okay.
15,
I was going to call it
15, whatever.
15 grand. Okay. So now we're at 117. Whatever. All right, it's good enough. I'm just trying to get close. So 117. So now what do you call that thing? Pie tie.
Pie tie.
Oh, I see. Pie tie. You're so simple. I love it. Pie tie.
I am very simple.
That includes, I'm guessing you have a first, and then is the reno like a second or a HELOC, or how did they do that?
Nope, it's a construction loan, so it's one loan.
Okay.
This is the other magic too, is that I don't have to refi it.
Oh, you don't? It flips to perm.
It does.
That's
how I do my loan, so I'm locked in. So this deal is at 5
done. Yeah, and it's done. You don't have any
5 1/4 done. That's it. Done.
Okay. Oh, I like that. All right. So So for me, you're out 117. Get rid of that. But now it's 3 8 30. So hold on, I got to do this math. 3813 times 12, because you're going to get after month one, it goes forward. You're going to make 45,756. These are your numbers, so I'm just using them. So now for me, all I do is I do 45,756 divided by 117.
It's just a 39%.
Just a 39% deal. That's all.
That's all.
Right. So again, 39% should mean nothing to anybody at this point until you've done enough work and realize that average is 11. Right. And then once you know average is 11, you do, because maybe you're in a market where 39% is a bad deal. That's what people don't get. Do the freaking work, people. Do the work. It takes time. Right. Then you can find these deals. And then you could do these things. So
the other last thing that I'll tell you too is, Mike, and I appreciate that you and Dion didn't mention it. Do we say one word about what the actual value of the property is? How much equity I have? Do I care? I don't care.
I was going to bring that up next. I don't give a rat's ass that something appraiser thinks this is worth 760. It means nothing. I don't give a rat's ass that inside the pie tie you're paying off $1,000 a month in principal. It doesn't mean squat. It doesn't mean rat's ass to me that you're going to get bonus depreciation of $100,000. None of that matters.
Right.
It's all extra. I want to know how much cash comes out of my account, in this case, $117,000, that, to Dion's point, is sitting in the property, but it's out of your account, and you're going to get a drip of $3813 a month once Make Ready is done. Then you've done all the extras, like you flipping it to you're a sophisticated investor. Most people wouldn't have known to do that.
Yeah.
But you do the deal because your average is, I'm making it up 10%. You found a way to buy a dump, negotiate a great price, then negotiate again with the bank to put the deal structure together to make sure when you flip to perm, it's at 5 1/4. Because if it doesn't flip to perm at 5 1/4, you may not do this deal because you don't want an 8% interest rate risk. Nope. Who knows? Nope. That's a different payment.
Different payment completely.
Yeah. So that's all I look at. How much cash goes out? How much cash comes in? I don't give a rat's ass about how people talk to me all the time. Well, you just made $100,000. I didn't make a freaking $100,000. Are you kidding me? I hate that stuff. And then these people talking about, hey, I can go get a property for 200. I can get, $210,000 loan. I made 10 grand. No, you didn't. You over leveraged the property, you idiot. That's not making 10 grand.
Exactly.
And then the other thing is, bigger is not better, right? This is a fourplex.
Mhm.
It's the yield I care about. I buy the highest yield.
Mhm.
I promise you, if I found a yield at 43%, it was the little 512 square foot house, which I have bought. I would buy that deal over that fourplex. It's a bigger yield. It is that simple. Bigger is not better. So I'm a little passionate about because I made the mistake making my spreadsheet way too hard. I used to count appreciation and tax savings and mortgage paydown. All that stuff is nonsense. It could go away in a heartbeat. It's fake. I hate net worth. Is a totally bogus number. I only care about it once a year when I got to do my personal financial statement for the bank. Why? Because they care. I don't. But yeah, those are the numbers I use pretty much, except I do that one last step of yield calculation.
Thank you, Matt, for having an example here. I do appreciate that. That was actually pretty awesome. And having Mike give us a breakdown on that. As an uneducated investor, I'm going to give the number that most people worry about on their spreadsheet. And then Mike, with your econ degree, let me know how much I messed this up. With yield, it's easier to predict the next year. Internal rate of return is better for looking at the last year. Although it's not the way we look at buying rentals. It's something we can just do as a mental exercise after we've owned it for a while. That's where you can look at appreciation, pay down.
Yeah, I think IRR is a wonderful way to look in the rear view mirror of stuff you own. And again, as you probably heard me rant a moment ago, because I got a little hot, I don't give a rat's ass. I already own it. It doesn't matter what the IRR is. I'm the owner. It could be negative. It doesn't matter. I own it already. I can't undo that, right? So, yeah, but IRR is really a way to look in the rearview mirror. I think that's fair.
Nope, I totally agree. IRR has really meant nothing to me other than having to provide data to Business Insider, which we've all three been on there. And
that audit was fun. Yeah.
Yep. But when it's how to buy a property, to look at it, it's yield. And here's my breakdown on yield. It is annual profit divided by cost to acquire. Annual profit is all of your sources of income. So rent, laundry machine, parking, storage, anything associated with your property that's making money, minus your expenses like principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and setting aside for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy, and property management if you have it.
I want to be very careful on something, because if an accountant is watching this, they're gonna pull back a little bit, because you said profit. Right. When you look at it and you actually do your income statement, profit would actually include mortgage pay down, because when you file your taxes, you're only doing your taxes. And I don't include that. And that was cash. I want to know the cash.
That was the problem with the video, was they were looking at your principal pay down, which can disappear like it did in 2009.
Equity portion will disappear.
Cash flow did not disappear.
Oh, exactly. My market went down 75%. My net worth went the wrong way, but cash flow went up. I didn't care.
And so that covers what we normally see in a video of what numbers do you look at in a rental, except for a really good example on what the expenses are, what the cost to acquire was. But here's the numbers I've never heard talked about when I'm looking at buying a rental. These numbers matter. How to run the numbers on a rental. How many economic drivers are in the area? And these are things like a base, a port, a college, a hospital, Boeing or Amazon terminal, a large population, something that's going to say this is a source of tenants, where if you're in a city where everything is based on car manufacturing and that one economic driver can move away, you're going to be decimated. But if you're in an area where there is a port and a couple of hospitals with traveling nurses, any large population, 2 or 3 things have to hit the economy for that rental to go down. So that's the first number to look at. How many economic drivers are there? Second, what types of tenants? Matt talked about this on a video on One Rental at a Time. One of the things he wished he had learned earlier in his investing, because it almost cost him his entire investing trajectory, was diversification of tenants. And what I like to do is go about 1/3 military, 1/3 Section 8, 1/3 working or retired. So your area might not have the military or might not have a retired set of people, but it might have a port. It might have in some areas in Washington, a logging community, or Leavenworth, which is a tourist community. You might have different types of tenants, and that if there's only one source of tenants, if you're in a town and there's a paper mill and that's it, there's no other reason for people to be there. All of your tenants are going to be from that paper mill. Again, economic drivers and tenant types. So when we look at running the numbers on a rental, I also want to look at how many tenant turnovers should I expect? If I'm investing in 10 units or more, where it's more of an apartment, where the average not life expectancy, but the average expected tenancy is 2 years, I'm going to have more turnover than if I buy small multifamily or single family, where the average tenancy is expected to be around 7 years. I can run those numbers on a rental and figure, with my tenant turnover, here's the added reserves I need to do, or the increased cash flow I should shoot for to account for that tenant turnover. So one of the other things that I like to look at when running the numbers on a rental is population trends. And you can do something like going to U-Haul and looking at where all of our trucks are going, and we'll pay you to bring your trucks back because nobody's moving to these areas. I would also look at how many remote workers are likely to be in an area. Mike and I did a video about a month ago talking about the 10 places people are moving to and the 10 places people are moving from. And while they are moving out of places like Los Angeles and New York and Seattle, they weren't moving to Arizona and Florida. They were moving to San Diego. They were moving to Tacoma. They were moving to a commutable distance from the place where the work is, because they still work remotely, but in the office once or twice a week. So look at all of the numbers on a rental. It's not always just about the cash flow. That's what we all did. We picked a market. Then we found the great deal. We found average, to take it right out of the one rental at a time playbook, found average, and then tried to beat average every time, and better deals as we go.
Perfect.
And someday I will make a video where I sound as intelligent as my guests.
But not today.
So wrong.
Thank you guys. I appreciate both of you for doing this. I think this is going to be some great information I would have liked to have heard right when I started investing. If somebody wants to reach out with more questions, Mike, how can they find you?
Go to One Rental at a Time, whether it's website, YouTube, Instagram. I should be easy to find.
And Matt, how can they find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on Instagram and YouTube, and my live streams 90 minutes on Sundays, unless special guests show up.
Awesome. Thank you both. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.